7 months ago, I talked about the voice actor episodes of Scooby Doo. During those months, I've been trying to find another connective thing to make another video about. I accomplished that goal, but the second episode is outside of Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo, you've already seen the thumbnail, so you already know what show it's from. I just find it weird that these episodes had the same title when I first was looking into it. So then I looked up the word unnatural. And unnatural is just like that they throw unnatural speeds, which makes sense because both the enemies in these episodes throw unnaturally. Now, what episodes are these, you ask? No? Well, it's What's New Scooby Doo Season 1, Episode 14. That's what I found online, but on the Boomerang app, it's Volume 1, Episode 12. And then it's in Ben 10, Season 3, Episode 9, The Unnaturals. Let's just get into it, shall we? We're going to start off with Ben 10's episode. The episode starts off with an establishing shot of a carnival. Ben is playing a carnival game where he has to knock down some Ben Franklins, which was weird funny because Mad did a parody on Ben 10. Then he meets back up with Max, Grandpa Max, and Gwen, his cousin, and his grandpa. But then all of a sudden these people steal the Liberty Bell and they're running straight at Ben. Cut to the intro. After the intro, Grandpa Max dives, saving Ben. Then Ben tries to go accelerate, but gets gray matter instead. Gray matter manages to get into the car and stop them by messing with the car's brakes or whatever. I don't know cars, so he could just be messing with some wires to make the car not run anymore. But then he manages to shoot off into a jar of jelly beans and has to just guess how many jelly beans are in there to win a music pocket. Then when they're sitting and leaning on by TVs, they see an ad show up about
your hometown baseball team, the Cannons, are in the finals of the Little League World Series.
No way! I was supposed to be on that team.
And so they go to that game has weird security, a lot of security, and then that is because
the president is a big baseball fan. He likes to make an appearance to cheer the kids on.
Ben sees the Cannons, they're over there, and he wants to go say hi, but who is on this team? His school bully, JT and Cash. They hang him up on the fence post, but he gets off and they almost get hit by some baseballs. Not just once, multiple times.
Hello? In case you didn't notice, we're not wearing uniforms.
Cash tries to get some revenge, but yeah. So now we're on to the game. Ben notices that
You're too perfect.
one kid almost hits a home run, but then a squire jumps up high. One kid almost gets a foul ball, but a guy climbs up the fence and catches it and lands back down. And then a squire destroys a bat and a light. Gwen does some research on the squires. Ben then goes to get another hot dog, even though he already has one in his chair. Because he comes back out as Accelerate and helping his cannon friends. For the most part, when JT and Cash are up, he hurts them. Gwen ruins the fun by pulling out her camera. The Cannons win, but then as JT and Cash are celebrating that they're the coolest kids in town, they get jumped by the squires. Ben follows. Gwen does some more research, and Grandpa looks outside the window and is like,
Now why would a coach be checking on the Secret Service instead of his own team before a game?
Then JT and Cash are brought to this weird warehouse where they are strapped onto a machine and then they basically get copied onto other robots, and then that's when Ben realizes
They're robots.
the robo leader comes in and demands And then they throw balls and bats unnaturally at Ben, trying to catch him. Ben goes Diamond Head. The JT and Cash robots jump on him, and then he throws them off and bashes their heads in and smiles. And then they're like,
Just me? Or was that thing smiling when it smashed our robots together?
Gwen and Grandpa come, let out JT and Cash. Gwen sees that their main target is the president. The squires run out as more robots come in to attack. But as they're leaving, the squire leader activates a machine to blow. Diamond Head defeats the spider bots and protects himself from the explosion. But then after that, they come up with the idea that they gotta save the president. So Ben dresses up in uniform to get on the field. But in the dugout, a robo player turns into the president to take its place. Gwen and Max arm themselves, and then they just tell Cash.
First off, get some new underwear. Second, don't move.
Ben plays some baseball. He strikes out a couple times, but then he manages to hit a ball. He runs past first and slides into second as forearms. A robo fights back and shows himself to the crowd. Then the robos storm the crowd to get to the president, but Grandpa Max swings in, blasting them all away. Gwen runs up, and they try to save the president, but not for long. The president gets grabbed and taken away into the museum. The copy of the president goes behind the real president, and then Forearms comes in, crashing in, crushing a president. And Ben is,
Please tell me that was the fake president.
then there was a little stupid small fight with the robo leader, Forearms throwing a giant baseball at the robot. The robot then explodes after Ben strikes it with a metal rod or whatever into the eye. Then Gwen says some dumb joke.
You're out! Come on. Even I couldn't resist.
Cash is the one that gets thanked for saving President. Ben was not having it, so he goes accelerate and hangs them on the sign. Then we finally learn that the Forever Knights were behind this whole thing. There was a lot of this, I remember, thanks to the Ink Tank's Ben 10 breakdowns. And it's a weird motive for the Forever Knights. They usually go for aliens or historical artifacts. And it's also hinted that, oh hey, squires. Oh, squires are connected to knights. So that was a clue and a given that the knights should have been behind this whole thing. Alright, now on to our next baseball-themed episode. What's New Scooby Doo episode title, The Unnatural. The episode starts off with the intro. I don't know if that was just for my Boomerang experience or if it's the actual episode starts off that way. But really, the episode starts off with an opening shot of baseball stadium. As a man practices hitting, the lights go out and the fog rolls in. Our ghost appears, threatening the baseball player.
I'm warning you. Try to break my record, and everyone shall suffer.
Then throws so unnaturally that the balls are on fire. Then the gang arrive at the stadium, and then Velma says some logical stuff that we get into like for little bits in this episode.
I thought it used to be called Potter Stadium. It was, before Potter Stadium's 100-year-old foundation gave out and it sunk into the ground. In fact, Cookie Company International Park was built right on top of the old stadium.
The gang make their way to the field to meet Luis Santiago. Scooby attacks the mascot, and they do an unmasking really early, and then Shaggy makes a joke about that.
Like usually it takes a lot longer before we're unmasking people.
They say JT is the mascot, and I'm like, whoa, that's weird. I know, it's just weird that JT is the mascot and JT and Cash was in the Ben 10 episode. And then JT points them to Louis, which is being interviewed. Fred introduces the gang to Louise, and then Fred fanboys to Louise. And then a baseball transition with Scooby Doo on it rolls by to a baseball game. Scooby and Shaggy are first in line at concessions, and they get free food because the girl had basically has a crush on Shaggy. And then when they're sitting down waiting for the game to start, a storm brews in, and Velma is more worried about the game than her hair. For a bit. Louis strikes, and then our ghost appears, breaks lights, and throws a couple fireballs. And then he goes away. Louis informs the gang about the night before, and gives us a face to the ghost.
Cab gray.
And then his publicist, Autumn Summerfield, comes in. The gang head out to investigate the lights. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy are snacking on the field. And then they go to bury some food for later, and they find a trap door, and they fall into the old locker room, and come to the conclusion
And this must be how the baseball specter gets around.
they stumble upon him and then run up a pipe. He follows to a sauna and turns it on with Scooby and Shaggy inside. The others come and save them, and then they're all shriveled up, and so they have to blow themselves up. They make their way to the broadcasting room and find a clue. This clue being a baseball card. And then they hear the creepy organ. Fred says he has a plan. They go and they ask,
Okay, Fred. So, what's your plan?
To come in here and see who's playing that organ.
And then?
Didn't think it out past that.
Well, I've got an idea. Run!
and then that activates the song and chase. A lot happens in this song and chase. First thing, the girls trick the baseball specter. Randomly, Fred is driving a baseball car after, and yeah, the ghost destroys the frickin' stands, which isn't even a big thing because then the stands are just back up. And then Shaggy makes a joke.
I've heard of take me out to the ball game, but never take me out at the ball game.
And then the publicist comes out taking a picture of him, and then Daphne finds her suspicious. The specter starts opening the roof, then they go to where the roof controls are, and Fred makes a plan with him standing right behind him, and he's like,
What about me?
Well, you're gonna make your way over to the...
They all run to the roof and make the leap. Scooby doesn't, he gets paranoid and doesn't jump. He eventually does, but doesn't make it. So Fred has to jump down with a rope and go save him. He catches him. Spectre tries to make a leap, but Velma says,
He's going to hit the field.
and then he goes through the field, and Daphne says,
He went right through the field.
and then Shaggy's like,
Oh, great. Let me guess. That means we have to investigate the dark, creepy, spooky catacombs.
they go down there. They find clue number 2, which is baseballs soaking in kerosene, which makes it easily flammable. So that's how he's making the fireball. But after that, the next game, the mascot quits after figuring out that he has to be shot out of a cannon. The gang have a quick laugh after Scooby gets a makeover from Bob Taylor. Louise is in the locker room studying old footage of the cab, and Velma notices something, and now it's
And I know how we can help Louise and catch that baseball specter.
the gang take to the field as Scooby becomes the mascot and steals some food. Louise comes to bed. The ghost appears and Daphne spins a wheel to extinguish the fireballs that were being thrown at Louise. The specter goes for Daphne and Shaggy activates,
Phase 2!
which is a baseball machine shooting baseballs at the specter. But he manages to mess it up, so Scooby has to go down there and help him turn it off. The baseball specter gets up there, and all they have to do is lure him into the cannon. They do that, but it's malfunctioning. But then it just took a little while for it to activate, so it actually worked. It shoots all of them into a net, and Daphne says,
I can't see who it is.
and Velma says,
Just take a look up there.
Scooby pulls off the mask, and it is Bob Taylor. They explain the clues, and then he says his motive.
But why would you do this?
Because Cab Craig was my best friend. I wanted his record to stand forever.
So now we are back to the game. Shaggy gets some food from the girl from concessions. And then Mike Piazza comes to join the gang. Louise breaks the record.
And Luis Santiago has broken the record!
Everyone cheers for him. Then the announcer says the line.
All with a little help from those meddling kids!
Followed by Scooby-Doo's second catchphrase. My final thoughts of this. It was a good episode. It was weirdly epic for a baseball episode, like destroying the stadium, jumping the gap, fireballs, a cannon, and starting the episode with the intro? Like I said, I don't know if that actually happened when the episode originally aired, but that's how I viewed it. There was an animation error, and I remember this one more because this was more a part of my childhood because I watched it more than Ben 10. Now, there are some very cool similarities that I found or saw. The episode titles. That's a given because this is the whole idea for this video. Going undercover on the team to stop the villain or ghost. I didn't remember that happening for the Scooby Doo episode, but after watching them back to back, I obviously saw them and it was cool. Protecting a side character. President Louise. And then JT's, like, watching these back to back, I noticed it even more, but if I was gonna be, like, watching these on 2 different days, I probably wouldn't have noticed. Those are the cool similarities between the episodes. There are more episodes, Demon of the Dugout, that one episode from Be Cool Scooby Doo, those weren't my childhoods. And I mean, I haven't watched all of the 2004's Batman yet, and there could be a baseball episode in there. And there is a little segment in a Flash episode, but that wasn't the whole focus of the episode. But anyway, alright guys, hope you guys liked this video. If you guys did, please leave a big like down below. And if you guys haven't already, please check out the last time I did one of these, which was the voice actor episodes of Scooby Doo, and click right here for my most recent video and subscribe. Peace!